Getting the final four-man World Cup race of the season underway, Frenchman Roman Heinrich. The 28-year-old has never been to this track, but boy, he took a silver medal in the two-man last week in Lake Placid.
Historic medal for France. It was their first medal in this century. Their last medal in two-man bobsled was the World Championships in 1999 in Cortina. But their last World Championships for France, same time, 1990 Cortina, Laurent Mangin, who was their coach.
This is his 8th driving four-man World Cup, 27 different starts. So he's started 19 as a brakeman now.
I'd like to know how many total trips he's had in the four-man, Mark. I mean, he doesn't have that many trips in the two-man. He has accelerated learning curve here in the last couple of years.
Yeah, he really has. He started in two-man, didn't really start driving a four-man till last season. This is not the brand new sled that the French have built.
He crashed right there in training in two-man.
Yeah.
Banged him up for not a very good result. Watch out here, he's late there in the curve.
Using the height to let it fly, 53.98. Well, the track record's 53.16. John, notice the air temperature's gone up from -16 this morning to -5.
Warmed up quite a bit.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah,
they can't get us. No.
Brakes. You have to really haul on the brakes. This is up at the skeleton finish.
Usually, that's cement or pavement.
Yeah.
And so they're runners. Wow, now this is going to delay the race.
Well, that's Jérôme Laporale on the brakes there. Let's hope it's done no damage to the runners.
They're not going to be able to take that sled out of there. They're going to have to bring a truck backwards.
Well, they finished in 8th place in the two-man, so Roman Heinrich clearly hasn't let that practice crash put him off. Let's take a look here.
Well, that's Omega. This is the crossover, a little late there from 7 to 8. Climbs higher than you want to be. Then this is down below. We're in the finish curve where it comes in late and all of a sudden up and down. And watch the reverse. Look at that.
Yep.
We've seen sleds roll there like that with the G-force on the exit of that finish curve. Now the brakes are on.
Yeah.
He's got the brakes on. He's pulling as hard as he can. Obviously, they need to sharpen up the brakes. But that also will tell all the other teams at the top of the track.
Now you can see down at the bottom the levers, the rake, it's just a metal rake.
Is that
really
broken?
Jagged teeth. No, I think it was just buried in the snow. So they're going to have to go down the hillside.
Wow.
Ivo Danilevich, their coach. Well, next up, Great Britain's Lamin Dean. He has raced here before and in World Cup as well. He raced here in January. He got two-man and four-man podiums in the North America's Cup. He's raced only in North America this season.
Boy, look at the number two-man is way up too high.
That's Ryan Letts in his second ever World Cup weekend. Toby Alubi at 3 and Tremaine Gilling at 4.
Well, he's got Toby behind him, who's the tallest, biggest man in the competition.
Ryan tends to ride cannonball. That's with his knees up under his chin. It is difficult, but he has to do it to make space for Toby Alubi's 6'7" frame or whatever he is.
900's back. French sled.
Last World Cup race here 4 years ago, Lamin Dean was 5th.
5th.
Tied with Nico Walter for 5th.
Oh, watch out.
Oh, big height.
Oh, he got some height there.
Trying to let it fly.
Brakes. There's the brakes coming down, Ellen. I'm sure they got the word, the coaches are looking on.
Yeah, they will have told the teams, but...
He stopped, no problem. So the
brakes.
British
Ryan is still calling.
The British got better brakes than the French. But you don't win any awards for that.
No, either that or you haul them on. I mean, the American brakemen were telling me the other day, this is like an upper body workout, the braking stretch.
Okay, out of the curve 8, we look for the aerodynamic profile. I mean, they're in line, but they're just up high. And then this is pretty good here into the big cries. Oh, look at the way the nose dove down there.
Hard.
Here's where he got it too high there.
Yeah, and steered hard off.
Really way too high. And then on the finish, well, you know, he's 4/10 back.
Raised his own funds. He's using a combined services sled. Next up, making his four-man World Cup debut, Xiao Yujin of China, the 24-year-old. 3 rookies on the sled, Wang Yaiki, Shi Huao, and Ma Ying Liang. And these guys, like Ma, the brakeman, has only sat in the back of a bobsled in 7 races. 19, 21, and 22, the age of the brakeman. The driver, only 24.
Basically, China is here.
Yep.
4 years ago right now, they just brought 25 guys out to a bobsled track and they started throwing them down. And this is their coaching staff's the most decorated in history.
Yeah.
They got Andre Lange, who won 4 consecutive gold medals over 3 Olympic Games. Then they got some guy named Pierre Lūders, who won 1 gold medal and a number of other medals. So needless to say, they got some great coaching. Start time 35, not bad considering a brand new team.
Yeah, a whole bunch of young guys.
Big pressure shot there of the take on to Kreisel, or to Kreisel. Late here.
He's only raced once on this track in North America's Cup. He has had other training runs, but big height.
Wow. Same thing Lamondine did.
Yeah. And at the line, third place, 46
500s back from Lamondine.
Yeah.
Look at there's the father and son duo right there.
Yeah, they have overshot there, coming up towards, well, that's about halfway up towards the skeleton finish. And the brakeman must hold on to the brakes until the crew get out to hang on to the sled.
And I'm sure they'll delay this. The other one they could let
Take
it go
out
because
right out the top, yeah.
But this they have to get the sled out of that outrun before they release the next one, which is a formidable one. Rudder tips drifting here on 3 to 4.
Well, he didn't steer away. He knew the tap on the wall would straighten him up.
Now watch out left side. Watch the pressure here. Comes in the wrong side. Look at the pressure right there. That hard pressure, a lot more pressure. Look at that.
In late there, out of the ditch, he really had to steer
if he
hard.
got in any later there, he would have rolled into the curve.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, it's
All right.
China in a 4-man team.
World Cup debut for Xiao Yi-jun.
But they were at the Olympics last year. They did compete in 4-man also.
Yep. Next up, Nico Walter, tied for 5th with Lamondine last time out here. That was 4 seasons ago. He's the joint Olympic silver medalist in 4-man. And this is his 38th World Cup 4-man start. 17 podiums out of those 38 starts. That's nearly a 50% hit record, and he's had 7 wins.
Well, he's got last 4 events, 7, 6, 5, and 5. It's because he's wounded. He hurt a hamstring in Auckland. So he's only going about 60%. Look at him, you can see him jogging. But those 3 guys behind him, plenty of octane there.
Wow, 5:16 with half a driver pushing. Well, half a pusher on the front handles, because he's not half a driver, he's a driver and change.
I had a couple different conversations with different coaches who tell me that they think this is the best driver on the track. They say what we saw him do yesterday in the 2-man with average start times, the way he was rocketing on the bottom part of the track at the high speeds.
Yep.
You know, you can have the best equipment. It's not the arrow, it's the archer, as I always like to say.
And in the 2-man, when there's only 1.5 of you pushing, you really are at a disadvantage on this gliders track.
Look at him get through there. No problems, no variance.
2,800's up. This will be a solid challenge for the medals.
Whoa.
2,900's up. 53.69. So we're half a second away from the track record.
I think we're going to see any more track records. There's
Track
another
records,
problem.
track records, 14 years old. I don't know, sun's out.
Nah.
We got another, it's going to get quicker.
No.
It's going to get quicker.
You want to bet dinner tonight?
No, you're always right, but I'm just arguing devil's advocate.
Okay.
I like to poke
We got
the bear
close
with
in
a
Skeleton
stick.
Men on Friday night.
Yeah.
They got some big young came
big
down. Look at
steer there.
that was between 6 and 7. That's why he had a little problem here on the exit of 8. So you make your mistake. You think it's a mistake here. No, his mistake's up in 6 and 7. And the finish, look at the pressure on the team there.
That's all the weight.
What a change of direction.
And that's because Eric Franker at the back is already trying to sit up to haul on the anchors. Get them stopped. There is Nico Walter, our race leader, 4 down. See all the Russian athletes there at top. Now just a Sergiver filming as Maxim Anjanov and the crew come to the line. His 28th World Cup 4-man race, Maxim. The 30-year-old from Russia took bronze in Lake Placid
First
a
ever
week
medal
ago.
for this Andrianov. But the Russians have great history in Lake Placid. So
He was training well here as well, John.
yeah, he life.
Didn't really show in the
two-man.
two-man. He was 17th equal.
Pretty good start. 100 better than the Russians. Ooh, drift. Not good. Start speed 60.2 race.
He's a fraction ahead of Shao of China, who had better speed there. But he's dropped behind Nico Valter.
Yeah, that drift up there, curve 1 to 2. That cost him. Up there where the speeds are slow. No mistakes allowed.
Well, Valter's in a brand new FES four-man, developed since the Olympics. And this is a new Valna sled, the same as we have seen last year. So this should be quick at the bottom as well. 125 watts, 77.7 miles an hour, equal
Still
fastest.
flying, boy.
81 miles an hour.
Stop the bleeding, but it's going to be second.
Yeah,
like
not as quick as Nico Valter.
Third, 900. Wow. Beat Heinrich by 900ths of a second.
Roman Heinrich is doing it again.
83 miles an hour for Andrianov. Boys, get ready. 2 weeks from now, you're going to be going over 90 on that super speedway up in Whistler.
Listen, racing drivers love speed.
Everybody I talk to can't wait to get to Whistler. Every athlete can't wait to get to Whistler.
Again, like Nico Valter, the big steer to get the four-man knows where you need it.
6-7, they cross over, try and get in the takedown to Omega, but it's costing them. Here, this is the exit of Kreisel. Not perfect, not bad. Lost a lot of speed around the Kreisel part of the track.
5 down, 16 to go. Nico Valter leads in Calgary. Martin Haven, John Morgan watching the final BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh race of the season. And here's the man who finished in bronze in the two-man yesterday, our world champion, our European champion in four-man. 28-year-old Hansi Lochner has never raced on this track before this weekend.
Came back from off the podium to win a bronze medal in the two-man yesterday. Good cohesion by the Germans. Speed 60.2, 60.3. That's the best speed at the 120-meter mark.
8 wins in four-man in the World Cup, including one this season. He was last year's World Cup four-man champion.
But already 300s back. Strange.
Well, tied at the start. Maybe they just didn't get the momentum in the sled. He's also driving a Valna sled, not an FES.
Pretty good. It's like a high exit of 8, but that high exit of 8 might have put him in a money shot because he's down to 7.
Best top speed, 130 kilometers an hour. Nobody quicker.
Not going to be enough. He's going to run out of track.
He's getting to these corners quicker than anybody else. 134 at the bottom.
14
wow,
seconds.
1400's back.
Same start time, but Nico Valter had some kind of, look at the Germans like, how they're great. Do the Germans do anything wrong in the sport?
No, they really don't.
The brakes, everything that they do.
Now bear in mind, Nico Valter still struggling with that hamstring. These guys only started the same. Valter's crew will have been punching the air going, yes!
Look at the little tap there.
Yeah.
Aerodynamic profile. You see anybody else back there? No. Pretty good exit out of the Kreisel. Climbs a little bit there at 11. That was strange. And then this little tap here, that little skid there into the finish, that cost him 4 or 500.
Yep. A couple of mistakes there found by our replay guys. Hansi Lochner, a few hundreds. Next up, our other joint Olympic silver medalist, Yun Jong-won of Korea. Last World Cup race here, he was only 13th. He was 4th in the two-man yesterday. And he's had 11 races on this track in four-man alone in World Cup and North America's Cup. Now, for all his Olympic silver medal, John, he has had only 3 top 6 four-man finishes in World Cup races.
And he's only got one guy from that Olympic team in this sled.
Yeah. And he's only returned this week, Young Wo Seo, who was on his two-man yesterday.
Boy, we can see too much of the brakeman back there. You can see that right now. He's really high in the sled. Start time, 19, not bad. 4 to 11, that's not bad. 16, he keeps it at 19 or so by the next clock. He'll have a chance for a top 2 or top 3.
except we've still got Friedrich and Cripps to come, so maybe top 5, top 6.
26, lost all sorts of time. Again, there's too much of that brakeman hanging out of the back of that sled.
Yeah, that's Jinsu Kim, who used to be with Dong-Young Kim in the four-man cruise.
3400's back. This is an aerodynamic issue here. Oh, wow. That was late, a couple bangs.
Across the line in 5th at the moment. He'll be in the top 10, likely as not, but not at the right end of it, I don't think.
Not stopping the sled properly either.
Korean crew running up there. Ivo Danilevich at the back.
I was amazed to be in the start house about an hour before the race and to see all of the big China and the big Korean athletes in there. There's 2 2s, 2 4s. The Sport 21 sleds, we got 4 from Asia now. Never had that mix in the field, ever, ever, ever. Even when the Japanese had a couple sleds maybe, but they weren't as big as these China and Korean guys. Look at the size of the quads there. Look at the lower body of these guys.
That's Seo, the brakeman. He's absolutely enormous, isn't he?
He's one of the silver medal guys, right?
Yeah, when he gets in the sled, it bulges. Markus Treichel of Austria, the 25-year-old, his first time here in Calgary, as it was in Lake Placid last week.
No, he wasn't in Placid?
16th, no, he wasn't in Lake Placid, no, he was late arriving back from the World Champs. 16th in the 2-man competition. Never raced here before.
Had a couple 8th place finishes so far this year. Personal best, 8th on his home track in Innsbruck, and 8th on that track in Altenburg, Germany, where the World Championships are next year.
These guys should get a decent start in the teens, if they can, by 25.
Let's see how they get around that first curve. Quiet, how the heads look, the aerodynamics. 3 and 4 guys look 3 down. Marcus looks sitting up too high, though. Boy, 19 back.
Yeah, he's the only Austrian sled in the field today, John. There's no Benny Meyer.
I don't know what that is.
Well, I guess he's just, he just doesn't want to aggravate.
Oh, really high there in curve 8.
But held it.
He might have held the line, but he sort of threw away some time.
129.3, 80.4 miles an hour. It was 5Ks in the Kreisel just through the sled being ground into the ice.
Probably his first time here.
Yep, absolutely is.
Probably got 6 trips down the track.
54.25.
So we're going to eliminate 1 team from the competition here.
He's ahead of Lamindine and Xiao of China. So at the moment, Lamindine is in the race. And Xiao, if they end up like that, will be the final sled.
This is the crossover 6 to 7, late there. And then he's going to climb high. The sled's going to come down. It's going to go back up. Now watch it come down. Now watch him cross over. Oh, they didn't show us the cross into 8. He went over really high in 8, and that's why he came out of there flat like that. But if they would have stayed with that shot, he would have climbed almost to the lip, almost hit the lip in 8.
World Cup champion in 2-man after a perfect season, Francesco Friedrich of Germany. He's also our world champion and Olympic champion in 2 and 4-man. This is his 52nd World Cup race in 4-man, his 85th 4-man race of his career. 4th in Lake Placid a week ago, won the 2-man yesterday, and the last time they were here with John, 4 years ago, he took a silver medal, his 3rd career World Cup medal.
Well, he's got 8 for 8 in 2-man
Look at the start!
Ridiculous.
5:07.
Look at that crew. Look how buried those guys are. But 8 for 8 in the 2-man, and he's got podiums in every race, but last week in Lake Placid.
Yep.
So he's got 12 victories in 15 races this year. 1 time off the podium. That's unbelievable.
Shall I tell you how good his season is this year? He's got 6 career 4-man wins. 4 of them this season alone.
He's only 1,600s up, Mark. He should have been more.
Yeah.
With that start advantage, he should have been up to 25. This might come back down a few more, 14. It's going to be enough, but it's going to be really close. It's going to be Germans at 1, 2, and 3, probably single digits.
900ths of a second, 53.60.
Well,
Well, the
It's
only
like
man,
another German national championships. That guy Cripps might
Yeah.
do things.
and Keeper Manis as well. He might have something to say
Yeah,
about it.
could
I think
be.
those are the two that might upset the apple cart.
Wow, well, that start though, Martin. Oh, they're yelling about the start.
Well, yeah, 0-7 is what they're being told.
What's the start record?
It's a
96.
4.95.
That's ridiculous.
So they're 1200s away from it.
That wasn't perfect there. But the finish. Look at the G-force. There's the brakes. You can see those little garden rate come down and try and stop this 1,398-pound runaway vehicle.
10th sled on the ice, the World Cup finals for four-man bobsleigh. Oskars Kybermanis of Latvia. Last World Cup race here, he was here, but did not start the four-man. Finished 6th in the two-man yesterday. One of his least impressive days of the season. Kybermanis has been on the podium almost every time he's pushed the sled off the blocks.
5 races,
yeah,
he's been on the podium. The first two in Wittenberg, Germany, 4th Ford, then 2nd in Altenburg, 2nd in Königssee, 2nd in Eagles, 3rd in St. Moritz, 2nd in Lake Placid. I think he's arrived as one of the top teams in the world.
He has 8 four-man World Cup podiums.
6!
Wow!
Wow, but he's already in the red.
Yeah.
Speed, 60.8. Now, the best speed there, they say, was Juan, but I don't believe
The Latvians
that.
are almost always the best in first corner momentum, no matter what they start. So that really shows how strong Friedrich's crew is right now.
But he's already down a lot, so that tells me something happened with the load. So maybe how we can see how they get in out of curve 1, the load of the team, because with that start, they shouldn't have been red numbers that quickly.
It's not a bad-looking run, is it?
Yeah, he might break up the German national championship.
Well, currently he's ahead of Walter and Lochner in 2nd on the splits and 3rd at the line behind Friedrich and Walter.
400s behind Walter, beat him by 10. But if they show us the start, I think they ran too far. Something happened because they didn't use that best start of the competition to their advantage.
Talked about that with Rennie Spies, didn't we, at lunchtime? He said yesterday Friedrich and Margis both ran too far. He got too much in turn 1.
Well,
understeered his way around it.
I think we couldn't see. They didn't show us the start where they were getting in late. That caused them to, I think, have a problem at curve 1.
Again, when you're racing the Germans, even a mistake like that is enough to drop you back. Okay, so Kybermanis is in 3rd. 10 sleds down of 21. The final four-man World Cup race of the year. Francesco Friedrich is the leader. 11th sled, Alexander Predikin of Russia. Martin Avon and John Morgan trackside in Calgary watching the action. This 23-year-old rookie, never here in his life. It's only the 7th four-man World Cup start for him.
He's done it, 8th in World Cup points, 9th last week in Lake Placid. Guy, rookie tour, A+ for me.
He's been very impressive all year, John, except for yesterday, 26th in the two-man. It was unmitigated disaster for Predikin.
Well, it's called, I haven't been down this track too often is what that was.
Never before.
Boy, this is 3,500s, 3,700s down at that point. Wow.
Well, they started 5:22. I'm not sure that was necessarily 100%.
Good lines. He's coming back a little bit. He wasn't 10th, now in 9th.
Yep.
This is clean there. Good. Not bad.
Well, at the least, at the moment, he's driving himself into a second heat, isn't he? Because there's only one sled going to end up getting cut.
Hey, 8th
and
place.
He's in 8th.
That's the same place he is in the World Cup standings.
All right, so
not bad for somebody who's never seen the track.
100th behind Yunjong Wong, who's got 25 race finishes under his belt on this track in 2 and 4-man. Predikin's got 1.
Well, aerodynamics, well, we can see a lot of bodies back there, so they got to improve on that. pretty good lines, but you know, the four-man, you don't see too many skids in these four-mans. They like to come right down the middle of the track if you give them the chance. A little skid there on the beginning of Kreisel.
Hard take on to Kreisel. Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic next up. Francesco Friedrich, our race leader. 12th of our 21 sleds. Dominik Dvorak, the 26-year-old from the Czech Republic, came here once before as a brakeman in 2013. This is only his 18th four-man start as a driver. Best in four-man, 5th place this year in Innsbruck. Best in two-man, 4th at the season opener in Sigulda. And John, this crew can leave the block in a hurry.
Well, one of the top new guys. I mean, he's not new, but his athletic prowess is starting to show. I mean, he's a 10.8 100-meter sprinter in the driver's position, and I keep saying I don't think there's another driver that could beat him in the 100-meter dash. When you have a person that can push a bobsled like that in the front seat, you've got a chance.
Last year he was coming, wasn't he, 20 to 15. This year it's 10 to 5 where we expect to see Dominik Dvorak. And that's why, look at the lines.
Hey, he's 4th two-man points, 7th in World Cup four-man points.
4th fastest start. He is 6th on the splits at the moment.
Clean there.
Good speed and gain from the Czech sled. Out to 7th place, but this will be a top 10 run at the end of the heat.
7th, 8th. Right behind Juan, right in front of the Russian by 600.
So he's 500s behind the Olympic silver medalist, first time down this track.
4th best start. Dvorak is coming. This guy, with the starts he's going to get, understanding of the equipment, starting to get his feel for all of these tracks. Too many helmets. We see too much shoulders back there, so they got to get in a better aerodynamic pose, but that'll come. He'll be going to wind tunnels with his team, getting himself fitted in there properly, but that'll come through his instincts.
Yep, absolutely right.
The driver becomes the leader.
Make some noise in the house, Canada, for Justin Cripps, the 32-year-old silver medalist yesterday. Last World Cup race here, he finished in 11th place. This is his 55th start in four-man as a driver. He won last week in Lake Placid.
Man, should be a 0 start, 11. Boy, he had a lot of carving around that first curve there. Start speed, 60.4, which is about 5th. 3rd best start, 1400s back already. He's coming late in the heat.
Last week in Lake Placid, John, his first ever four-man World Cup win.
A hellacious race, though.
Yeah.
With the leading sled, Rudy Rinaldi crashing.
Yeah, that's a heck of a way to take your first ever win,
And he came from 4th. He
Yep.
beat the other two sleds in front of him, and then
big height
Rinaldi.
from the Canadian, and he's still in the red, quarter of a second back. Top 5 maybe.
His problem around curve 1. I didn't like curve 1 at all. 25th, 5th place.
Well,
So,
plus giving away 500s at the start, 600s
that
at
doesn't
the
bother
start.
me. Yeah, because he was 500s better than two sleds in front of him. But I didn't like the way he steered around the first curve.
That's what I'm talking about. Work, Ryan.
So this is Chris just coming through that middle of the Omega series, and he just
This is
slightly
Omega.
to that
This
7th
is,
corner, but has a
oh,
really
this looked
nice line
great.
through
Yeah, I
that.
think his nemesis
The
was
exit
curve 1.
good, and then he just
You could
gets
see him
slightly into
steer
the
right
right
around
wall,
there.
so he was
He
good.
got so little speed early on.
Yeah, well, he was out of the picture.
And
Again,
hope that
right off the bat, 1800s down with the 3rd best start. Shouldn't have been those numbers.
And a good run there for Cripps.
So Francesco Friedrich, Nico Walter, and Oskars Kiebermanis, the top 3. 14th of our starters, the man who led in Lake Placid after the first heat, Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco. What a story that was. Now, in his 10th World Cup start in four-man, on a track he's never seen before, what will he do?
Well, after that crash last week, I thought he'd be very upset with himself. The guy eludes so much confidence, it's unbelievable.
Well, he said
I was steering there too.
He wasn't playing it safe. He was going for the win. He said, I just gave it too much.
Yeah, he's way behind in the velocity, way behind. Look at that, something wrong there. Look at that start, he's way off the pace, but he's gonna have all he can do to get in the top 10 now.
Well, Sled took a big hit last week. I wonder if it's still not quite 100%.
He didn't go 2 million yesterday. Fourth in St. Moritz, then on to Lake Placid where he led after the end of the first heat. We were all like, wow, dazed and amazing. If you talk to him about it, he expects it. He expects to compete at a high level and be successful.
And that's exactly what you want. You know, he wants to be on the podium. He's desperate to do it. 9th place run in the first heat. That's first time on the track. That's a pretty decent run from Rudy Rinaldi. See how bumpy it is in the braking straight, and that's part of the reason the brakes don't grip, is because the sled's been bounced all over the place.
The German sled's grip.
Well, I can't argue with that. Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Steve Holcomb's Superman logo on the back of his helmet. You know who his bobsledding hero is.
So that was Rinaldi with a
Not much of a problem there. Everything's in line.
Yeah. Little in the centre, maybe coming onto the Kreisel, but that's not a bad thing. Down here at the bottom, though, big height early. And then you have to scramble to get it off.
Late there.
And again, look, wasn't quite sure how much of a steer to take into 14. The crew are down and done, so they are currently lying in 9th place ahead of Dominic Dvorak.
Still on the bubble right now is the Chinese.
Next up, Eva de Bruin in Netherlands, 15th of our 21 sleds. Lives here in Calgary with wife Christine, although she's currently in Whistler getting ready for the World Championships. Koenigsegg Bavaria, 8th place this year, best ever 4-man result.
Start. 12th best start, or the 9th best start, excuse me.
That puts him in the frame, doesn't it? Now let's see if he can use all of his experience on this track. He's had 16 races here in 2-man and 4-man. He drives summer bobsleighs as well.
He knows the track.
Yeah. That's where all the black marks are on the wall there from the summer bobs. It's rubber to protect them.
Skid there, 67.
All right,
pretty good though.
Yeah. Good run down into the Kreisel.
Started 9th, moved himself into 7th. That's a clean exit there.
I tell you what, he needs 2 good runs here to set him up for Whistler. This is home ice for the Dutchman.
Still a top 10's a good run.
Come on, Evo, get it together, and across the line in 10th. 100th behind Rudy Rinaldi.
Yeah, only 300, 400s behind Juan of Korea. 100th ahead of Dvorak, who's at 11th.
I pretty much guarantee one of Korea has been down this track more than anyone in the field. More than Justin Cripps even, and Nick Polignato. So that's not a bad run at all from Ivo de Bruin. There's N van Nieuwenhuis, the Belgian. Belgians and the Dutch working together, helping each other out, sharing coaching facilities.
Oh, 6 to 7.
Out of corner 7 and into 8.
7 to 8.
But he managed to
On the
hold
exit of 8.
that short corner 8.
Pretty good energy.
Had a good
Seeing number 2 helmet back there. See the brakeman's shoulders.
And as fast as they can at the start and the bottom. Francesco Friedrich leads with 15 sleds down. 6 sleds remain and 5 spots in the race. Hunter Church, who made his World Cup debut last week in Lake Placid, he finished 8th. This is his 2nd ever 4-man World Cup start.
Start is going to be important for Hunter. 14th best start, so they're a hole to dig out of. 59.7. velocities about where they started. There's a big mistake there. Now he's a half second back already. Boy, hard to believe you can lose a half second before curve 3. That shows you what that little tap on the wall out of 3 to 4 did.
34 races in his career in 2 and 4 man. 16 of them have been in Calgary. So he knows the track. He started driving in 2013, post-season. Up to 15th place at the line, 16th place at the line.
So that puts him on the bubble, 300s behind.
Yeah.
Chinese.
China. So he needs a bit of redemption here. Still got his teammate Jeff Gadbois to come up next. Michael Vogt.
What's that stat? The Germans are the only team to win on this track in the last 21 years, other than
USA.
Todd Hayes in 2001 and Steve
Stephen
Holcomb a couple times, right?
Yep.
So this is him out of
And
3.
Oscar Smelbardis.
Because you want to be on that right short wall.
And then this is the exit of Kreisel on the wrong side of that straightaway going into the next curve.
There's Chris Kinney. He was at 3 in the sled. And Hunter Church is out of the way, and that leaves the track open for 24-year-old teammate Jeff Gadbois, 17th in yesterday's 2-man race. He too started driving in 2013, made his World Cup debut last week in Lake Placid as well.
Chris Horn on the sled, met his parents yesterday. Cathlete. And they're driving right now, the Night Train 2. Holcomb sled that he won with this sled in November 13 on this track. Holcomb did.
Yeah, 5:26 getaway, so 100th quicker than their teammates, slower than their teammates.
That push bar is still out. Let's see if he gets a drift here.
Flapping around at the back, hasn't quite locked itself into place.
4,200s back. His teammate was 4,400s back at that point.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a no-no there.
So at the moment, the 2 American sleds are battling each other for a place in the race. And it is advantage Gadbois.
Not by much.
No.
Barely ahead.
Well, we've seen sleds being bumped by a 100th of a second before now on many occasions. Ooh, big height.
He's back in the 14th, though. At least he's bringing it back.
Makes a very different noise to the other US sled, and at the line, 14th place.
That leaves him in the field.
Yeah.
So he's going to make the cut. So at least the US is going to have one team in the final for sure.
Well, we have 3 sleds coming up who may be in that position at the tail of the field.
Nope, Vermont right there.
Yeah. Second 4-man World Cup start.
My mom, my dad, Sierra.
Up here, watch this tap. This is above 6. Whoa, when you're trying to accelerate, and he gets pushed away a little bit. Now this is the exit of 8. So that mistake up there in that straightaway could have put him all the way to his mistake on the exit of 8. But he corrects very well, like 4-man sleds do. You let them hit, and they go straight.
They are freezing, aren't they? It's bright and sunny, it looks lovely, it's perishing cold. 18th of our 21 sleds is Michael Vogt of Switzerland, the 21-year-old, here for the first time. The sled isn't, though. Rico Peter has raced this sled for a couple of seasons. In fact, no, it wouldn't have been in the World Cup race 4 years ago. It's newer than that. 9th in the 2-man yesterday. That was a great first race for him here in Calgary.
He did pretty good with speeds on the exit of Kreisel when he gets going up to the maximum speed. In fact, he was pretty good top of the track for the first part of his first 2-man run. Boy, start time 21 on this track. That's starting like 10 yards behind people.
It's his second year of driving. He raced only in the Europa Cup last year. Started the World Cup this season.
Like the 2 American sleds, 4,100s off the pace, now 49, pretty much like the 2 American sleds. And you must say this, they're coming late, and the track might just not be, you might not have any speed left available to come down the track at the time you need.
Again, rattling the wall a little with the speed. 14th place though, he's
hard
in the
hit there.
race. Ahead of Jeff Gabois of the USA. No,
15.
just behind him at the line.
300s. Beat Gabois by 5 at the start. Gabois beat him by 3 at the bottom. But he'll be in the race.
Yep. And at the moment, it is Hunter Church in 18th, who is the man in the drop zone. I think the next sled is guaranteed. I probably shouldn't say that. Let's take a look at Mikkel Vogt. Again, early
6-7. Then he forces him up and down in 7 to 8. And if they show this through the curve 8, no. If they show that how that goes through from 7 all the way to 8, if you climb too high in 8. That's what that, if they're going to show 6-7, you might as well show how they climb in 8, because that 8 is, that sets you up on the bottom.
And you saw that second problem late into 11 means you go right to the roof in 12. 19th sled is Nick Polagnato of Canada. Dexter Janke at 2, making his 5th World Cup start. 41-year-old Fabio Silva from Brazil, making his 2nd ever World Cup start. And Neville Wright on the back, his 87th World Cup start.
Top 10 start. Look at that. Makeshift team, put them together. Of course, they probably had a few trips down in that ice house. But that's excellent.
Neville Wright on the back, starting his last ever World Cup race. A 3-time Olympian, 4 times he's been to the World Championships, 12 podiums and 2 wins in 4-man World Cup races alone.
Polagnato knows how to drive. We've seen that on all the tracks in the world. Jinx. Commentator Jinx right there.
7th in the 2-man yesterday, John, for Polagnato.
He's got 7 numbers today, but boy's a little wild.
Fast and loose. 22nd World Cup race for Polo.
He got from 7th to 12th. This is, wow, that was pretty rough ride. 15.
Wow, only 100th ahead of Mikkel Vogt. And he's done a dozen races here in 2- and 4-man. Mikkel Vogt has done 1 race in 2-man.
Well, I think that might not have been one of Nick's best runs.
Not out the top draw, no.
No, with a good start.
22nd World Cup 4-man race for Nick Polagnato.
Here, steering around. Look at the runners. Look at those runners.
Oh my goodness, so
Thank
late
you for
on to
that.
1.
That threw away the start time. This, well, there's still acceleration points there. You speed up about 4 or 5 miles an hour on the bottom part of that track. He prevented the acceleration point there.
Neville Wright there, the big beast behind him, made his debut hit in Park City November the 13th, 2009 with Pierre Luders. A decade later, it's his last World Cup race. 20th of our 21 sleds from Korea, 28-year-old Yoonjin Suk, 12th 4-man race of his World Cup career, but only his 3rd this season.
One of those Olympic silver medalists on this sled.
Yeah, that's Jae-Han Oh, the man on the back handles. Koreans mixing and match veteran experience with young studs.
Let's see the curve 1. Look at the runners. Look at the
25.
runners. Look at the runner tips here. He's got a little bit of a crank there. Getting around that first curve, it's almost trying to use your body lean. Yeah. Well, but there's a lot of steering the last couple of sleds we've seen.
I wonder if the sun's got on it, just slicking up the ice more than it was earlier, more than it was in training.
You know, he's gone from 16 down to 12. He's probably had a lot of trips down this track.
Yeah, guaranteed. Couldn't count them all, but I gather I guess he's probably competed at least a dozen race weekends.
Watch out here! Could roll into that next curve being that late. Wow. That was close.
Yeah, he was not on top of the sled at all there, was he? Got away with that by
14.
the skin of his teeth.
Well, it's still 14th place.
Yeah, that was luck more than judgment.
Boy, curve 10. Plus the 4-man, you can crank it. You can, what do they call that?
Haul it, Robin Hood.
Robin
Hauling
Hood.
it off, yeah.
You can Robin Hood, and that sled's not going to change the direction
Yeah.
the way you need it to.
It just,
You know, that's hitting the outlet of the curve, so this is 8.
yeah. Big height early, and he has to haul it hard off here.
This wasn't too bad. This is
Still such a lot of steering. But
And
lower
he was
down.
affected. It was only
This
under
is
28
the exit.
down
This is
straight
where he
away
gets to the
then.
right
And
side
then
of our
he
screen, and he's in a skid, and he goes
back.
way, watch him go, the sled goes away, he goes on the left side, and the sled's on the outlet, and he could have rolled into that next curve.
Sled only had the front right-hand runner on the
Trust me,
ice there.
There was
Wow.
definitely Robin Hooding going on, and the sled didn't respond.
All right, making his four-man World Cup debut, 22-year-old Sun Kai-chi from China. With Yu Wei, 20, made his two-man debut yesterday in the other sled. And two 21-year-olds, Wu Qingxi and Wu Shaito. Now it's either him or Hunter Church who does not make the cut, 5:31.
Too bad, 59.5, so he's 45 hundredths back, means he's got a chance to beat Hunter. 53 hundredths, so this gets out to 65. Hunter and the American team will look to get back on the truck and go up top. 63, but he hit before 7.
Right now, he's in. Just. But it could be 100th of a second. 81 hundredths back. He's slipped behind Hunter Church in the USA. Can he find anything at the bottom to drive himself into the race? 1 second back. Hunter Church at the line was 87 hundredths back.
So this is going to be Hunter Church going back up to the top, yeah.
So
But
Kai-chi-
World Cup debut. China gets one sled in there.
Yeah.
The Americans will be the first ones out for Hunter Church, so they'll get the privilege of going back up and being the first persons down in the next heat.
So Sun is 21st, does not get a second heat on his four-man World Cup debut. Two of his three brakemen were on the two-man sleds yesterday.
Sun Kai-chi with a finish time of 54.
Boy, look how high the number 3 guy is.
Yeah.
I don't think, Pierre Luters and Andre Lange at the moment care about the aerodynamic profile as much as they care about getting these people down the track as many times as possible.
Exactly
Look
right.
at the, you want to see the aerodynamic, look at the brakeman.
Yeah.
The Germans, you can't see anybody back there.
Slightly down the half end of.
But you're absolutely right. It's all about ice time now for the Chinese athletes. At the start, down the track, as many trips as they can humanly take.
Well, guess who's leading?
Francesco Friedrich, the two-man winner yesterday, leads the four-man race here in Calgary, the season finale.
Martin, it's hard to believe, too. He crashed in training in Foreman.
Yeah.
Which didn't phase him. I mean, didn't phase the equipment. And lost a little time at the bottom, and it's tight. There's 1300s top 3 sleds.
Yeah, 900s ahead of Nico Walter, 1300s back Kiba Manis, a 10th behind him is Lochner, a couple of hundreds behind him is Cripps, and then look at Roman Heinrich again. He's just skulking around behind, waiting
He's got the
to pounce,
least experience in the top 10 in that field. He got the least experience in the top 15.
Dominic Dvorak just outside the top 10 by 100th. He's never been here before either, nor has Marcus Treichel. And Sun Kai-chi for China does not make the second heat. The remaining 20 sleds go to the top. They'll be back at 1500 local, 2200 GMT for the final four-man heat of the World Cup season before we go to the World Championships. Join John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew. We'll see you then. Bye for now.